And now, Carter, it's chapter 15 called Pickett's Check. Pickett knew he had a chance right now to get past his resentment of Smalls. He had done it before, inside Seven Mountains, when he had managed to forget his resentment during the crisis of their escape. Danger still hovered around them. Enemies were everywhere. Why not just apologize to Smalls, to everyone, and move on? But he couldn't do it. It would feel too much like surrendering ground he felt entitled to. To give it up would cost him too much. They were running again. Well, most of them were. Pickett was limping through the forest. His foot screamed for attention. He had jammed it on the rock, but he rejected any help offered. Smalls had saved him from being spotted by the wolves. At least they hoped so. Once Smalls set him down, Pickett wasn't about to let the white rabbit carry him even one step further. "We have to hurry," Uncle Wilfred called back. "If they saw us, then we have almost no time." He squinted at Pickett and looked down at his foot. "We're not safe yet." They made their way carefully, but quickly, deeper and deeper into the forest. Pickett had no idea where they were, and even less idea where they were going. The only place he had heard mentioned on the boat trip downriver was Decker's Landing. Of course, that place was turning to ash and cinders right now. He knew of nothing within miles, and almost nothing he knew of in the world was as it had been. Nowhere felt safe. The branches flicked him as the others moved ahead. He hobbled on, hoping they were close to escaping. But escaping to where? Uncle Wilfred darted past trees and through unfamiliar paths. They moved quickly back and forth on the trail for a time, and then off again. The forest grew denser, and tree limbs bent low and heavy all around and over, hovering like a worried mother. Pickett felt smothered. Nick Hollow was open and full of sunlight. At least it had been. Now the memory of the place was as gray as the sky had been yesterday, when the world he knew disappeared in flames. He could still smell smoke in the air. For all he knew, every home in the world was burning. They ran on. Pickett's foot throbbed. He tried to hop on one foot for several steps, then risked one excruciating step on his bad foot, but it was becoming impossible. He lagged behind. He thought he might have to shout out, to scream that he couldn't go on, but he limped on, biting his hand to keep from crying out. What frustrated him most was that the starting between path and brush was something that he was usually good at. He could have rivaled the agility Smalls was showing, maybe even outmatched him if he knew the way and hadn't been injured. Instead, he hobbled along, bringing up the rear. Heather kept dropping back to make it seem like he wasn't going much slower than she was, but he knew she was just trying to make him feel better. He managed to be angry at her for this, though he knew it was unfair. They cut through a clearing, then shot down a steep slope, thickly wooded once more. Pickett was getting dizzy with the pain and confused about where they were. His foot ached so badly that he almost fell, catching himself on a tree. He restarted quickly, though Heather had seen. "I have to stop," she called out ahead. Smalls, who was right in front of Heather and behind Uncle Wilfred, spun and ran to her. "Are you all right?" he asked. "Well, I'm okay," she said. "I just need a moment to rest." Smalls looked at her with a question in his face. He didn't buy it, Pickett knew. She cast a quick glance back at Pickett. Smalls nodded. Pickett was thankful for the rest, but he hated being the one who needed it. "I could use a rest too," Smalls said, sinking to the ground and puffing loudly. Pickett turned his back to them and sank onto the turf. He grabbed a thick stick and squeezed it to distract his mind from the pain. "What's up?" he heard Uncle Wilfred say. Pickett's head was down. "Why are we stopping?" Then there was a silence. Pickett was aware that these two, the new best of friends, Heather and Smalls, were subtly pointing at him. "Well, I needed a puff as well," Uncle Wilfred said, walking back to Pickett. Pickett quickly wiped his eyes and looked up as Uncle Wilfred came to sit in front of him. The pain was agonizing. "Let me have a look at that foot," Uncle Wilfred said. "Oh, it's nothing," Pickett began, but not waiting for permission, Uncle Wilfred knelt in front of him, taking hold of his foot firmly. "Ouch!" Pickett cried, snapping the stick he was holding. "Yes, son, it's clearly nothing," Uncle Wilfred said, frowning. He lowered his voice so the others couldn't hear. "You're stubborn, Pickett, and you're acting like a fool." Pickett's head dropped and tears slid from his eyes. It was true. He knew it. I know you're hurt, and life is not a meadow picnic right now, but there's the kind of foolish that's forgivable, and there's the kind that gets a good rabbit killed. What do you mean? Pickett asked. Well, young sir, if you had done as I said, your foot would be fine, but you're too preoccupied with fuming at Smalls to pay attention and follow orders, and you're so maddeningly proud that you can't even admit that your foot is hurt. I can handle the pain, Pickett said. No, you can't, Uncle Wilfred said, feeling the foot again. Your foot is broken. I can feel it. So your arrogant insistence that you can run means you're making it worse every step. With every step, you make the time it'll take to heal that much longer, putting everyone, including Heather, in terrible danger. Pickett looked away, not bothering to wipe away the tears that slid down his face. Now, son, Uncle Wilfred said, taking Pickett's face in his hands, I'm for you. I'm on your side and I love you, but there's something you need to know. As much as I love your parents, baby Jax, you and Heather, I have to protect Smalls, and right now you're making it very hard for me to do that. I'm sorry, Pickett said. Just leave me here and go on with Smalls, but please take Heather with you. Don't be a fool, son, Uncle Wilfred said. I'll carry you on my back. We don't have much further to go. Pickett bowed his head again and his jaw tightened. Will I be humiliated at every turn? Be careful of resentment and pride. Oh, I just lost my place. Oh, there it is. Be careful of resentment and pride, Pickett, Uncle Wilfred said. They've been the undoing of many a great rabbit. I can't seem to stop, Pickett whispered, looking away. Your father only began to tell you of King Jupiter, I know. But do you know your Whitsun mariner? Uncle Wilfred asked. Well, yes, said Pickett. We've heard those stories from the crib. Do you remember about the first boat, about the resentment Whitsun felt when Wrangell's crowd laughed at him? Pickett was silent for a while. Finally, he had managed to say in a hoarse whisper, But I'm not like Whitsun mariner. I'm like Wrangell. Uncle Wilfred looked into Pickett's eyes. Do the stories say if Wrangell eventually joined the trekkers in the boat and made the crossing with Whitsun? They didn't, Pickett knew, but his throat felt tight and he could only shake his head. Interesting, Uncle Wilfred said, getting to his feet. Then we don't know how his story turned out either. Bye-bye for now, Carter. I love you.